The receive. One of the most frustrating and disadvantageous shots there are, especially when trying to learn them all. And passive receives all the more. If you don't read the rotation right, then good luck trying to win a point. But you could take matters into your own hands. So hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm here in Antwerp in the Kilipong hall of my sponsor where I always am. And today we're going to look at the backhand flick or the banana flick. It has a lot of different names, but let's just call it the banana flick for now. And you can't avoid it anymore in the modern game. Everybody wants to step in with a banana flick. Also because it's a shot that has so much to offer. It has a lot of potential to put your opponent under pressure because of the rotation you can put in it and because of the extra quality compared to a regular forehand flick, for example. But of course you have the problem of being over the table and playing that ball over the table, which leads to you not being able to drop your racket any further if you want to create extra speed, extra acceleration to put more rotation in the ball. Of course, there are some technical tricks and tips around that, which I'll give to you today in this video. And first up is the elbow and the upper body position. I see a lot of people approach a banana flick the way they approach a regular backhand opening, in the sense that they just stand behind the ball and they don't lean too much forward, and from there on they rely on their wrist or whatever to generate that extra acceleration necessary. The problem is that is not enough, because here if you touch the ball here and you start your swing here, it leaves very little room for acceleration at first, unless you have sort of a magical wrist which creates all that extra speed, but still it's not enough. So what do you want to do? Well, you want to find a way to make sure that your underarm has some sort of wiggle room, some sort of room for acceleration, for speed. And you can do that by sort of starting here, and from there on you point your elbow as much forward as you can. And a natural result of pointing your elbow a bit more forward, look at what I'm doing with my shoulder and my upper body. I'm starting to lean forward more, and I'm starting to lean over the ball, and that is actually what you want. So you don't want to stand behind the ball, so to say, but you want to sort of crawl over the ball and have your elbow almost pointed towards your opponent or towards the other side of the table. So that is step one, because from there on you see all this space which you can use to accelerate. You didn't have that space before, because now your forearm is sort of being tucked into your body. It is not starting from here, no. So from here you get that extra space that leads you to be able to pull that ball, to yank that ball upwards. And now we're looking more into the wrist. So once you have your elbow pointed forward and you're leaning over the ball, your journey to extra acceleration still hasn't ended yet, because you still have to think about your wrist. Because once you're standing here and you have your racket a bit too tilted downwards, that is not enough. That is not good enough. What you actually want to do is sort of have your blades, the blade of your racket, almost parallel with the blade of the table. And from there on, if you really tuck in your racket and have the top of your racket almost pointed towards you, from here on you again have that extra acceleration. You have that extra possibility to accelerate, to put rotation and speed in the ball. And here you wouldn't have that. You wouldn't have that, and I think for multiple reasons, but I think we have to discuss that in the next key point, and it will become clear why. So now the point of contact, the reason why you want to have your wrist so pulled back. If you touch the ball too low on your racket, it's not like in a forehand topspin or a backhand topspin where you can compensate with the extra acceleration, the extra length of your swing. If you touch it too much on the top of your racket, so at the bottom, basically, if you're standing like this, that means that your ball will shoot out of your racket. So you can't create that curve you're looking for, because you're over the table. You're playing that ball, a short ball. The distance between your point of contact and the end of the table is quite short. So you want that ball to drop in time. But if you touch it too much on the bottom of your racket, you can't. Your ball is going to shoot too straight out of your racket. You won't make that ball drop in time. And that is a very big problem. And that is the reason why you can't hold your racket like this. Because if I hold it like this, immediately, this is where I'm going to touch the ball. What you want to instead is here. It sounds strange, but you want to aim for this part of the racket to have the first point of contact, that part of the rubber of the racket. And why? Because from here on, you can really pull that ball upwards and make that ball drop again. And so from here on, you can really absorb sort of the most of rotation, because you have the most ability to get that ball in the air, to pull that ball upwards, and it's something you're really looking for in a banana flick. One more time, start here. Try to touch the ball here, and from there on, so we explained all the other key points already before, you're leaning over the table, elbow pointed forward, wrist pulled back. From there on, you pull the ball upwards, and you pull the racket upwards. So this is basically what you're doing. Let's try it. So here, from here, I can pull that ball in the air, let it drop in time without it going over the table. Next is the use of your legs with a banana flick. Also very important, because if you just stand too upright, too straight, without your legs bent, you can't generate power from the lower body, and that is something you also need. Because one more time, we're dealing with a situation where you don't have so much swing, where you don't have so much ability to push off. All the other things I explained before, they come in handy with still getting that ball over the net, but you also need your legs. And you need to push off with your legs, you need to stand low enough, you need to stand close enough to the ball, but also it is very important to have some leg drive in your shot for the ball afterwards, to get back in time. And how do you get back in time, and how do you get back in time properly? Well, that is for the next key point. Okay, last up is how to step out properly. Not easy at all, but quite important. And why isn't it easy? Because you're dealing with a situation where you have to shift in a lot of different directions, or you have to be able at least to shift in a lot of different directions, because you're stepping in and then you're stepping out, and all of a sudden you have to cut the corner to the right side or to the left side. But how do you really step out for the next ball? How do you really follow up your banana flick? Of course, coordination and footwork are involved. Let's say I'm stepping in for a banana flick in my sharp, short forehand. Why here? Well, because it's extra challenging for the next ball, because I really have to step in quite far, and afterwards, if I want to get there in time, it's not easy to do. My main thing that I have to focus on is the leg with which I'm stepping in. For a left-hander, it's going to be the left leg, of course. For right-handers, it's going to be the right leg. I'm just going to demonstrate it as a lefty, which I am. I'm stepping in, and from this position, now my goal is to drive my leg back as much and as far as possible, just so I can get somewhere around a parallel stance. That way I can shift in both directions if I want to. Why don't I just take a smaller step and then adjust from there on? Well, it's not so easy, and I'll explain for the forehand side and for the backhand side why that's a bad thing. Let's just start with the forehand side. So if I come here and I step out and I'm sort of standing here, not with my feet parallel, and then all of a sudden I get a ball in the forehand, then I really I'm not able anymore to turn for that ball, nor am I able to move properly towards that ball. Whereas if I'm standing parallel, then all of a sudden I can shift directions and go the other way and still be able to turn properly for that forehand. So that's a good thing. That's why you want to step out as far as you can with that left leg. For the backhand side, the problem with standing this way, if you get a ball in your backhand, you're probably more likely than not going to continue to move backwards if you're standing this way. So there's not really much that prevents you from going backwards, to just travel forward or travel sideways and cut that corner and be in time for that ball. Even if you're able to stay in your position, stay in your line, you're continuing to stand this way and you're going to touch the ball next to you, and that of course is a bad thing in backhand, as we all know. So what you want to do one more time, by stepping out and dragging your left foot, or the stepping in foot, back as far as possible, then you can cut the corner. And not only can you cut the corner and prevent yourself from traveling backwards, while you cut the corner and while you get ready for that ball, you can really position yourself behind that ball properly. And you can even play that ball diagonal. So that is why you really need to pay attention to that left leg, to that stepping in leg. Okay, for right-handers, of course, it's going to be the right leg. And so here, one more time, up. But let's say maybe an important last detail that I would want to give to you is that if you get ready for the backhand afterwards, you want to do it in 2 steps. So I step in, and now step 1 out, step 2, I get behind the ball. What I don't want to do is move before the shot Hup, and then stay still as I play that ball. No, I don't want to do that. I explained it already in a video before about the 1-2 rhythm in table tennis that is applicable to footwork almost any time. So go check that out if you're interested. But if you step in and you step out, that second step, what you want to do is move as you play the shot, but not with both feet, so to say. Not with both feet in a sense that you're not jumping up with the leg you've stepped in with. You're letting it glide along. You're letting it drag along with that other leg. So if I'm going to demonstrate it in full speed, this is what I'm doing. Step out, and you see how I'm not really taking a step. I'm letting that foot glide along, letting that leg glide along. So one more time, whoop, and I'm back.